So today we're going to go over refilling the oil system on the Toolmaster. This is a Cincinnati Toolmaster split variant. I believe it was made during between two production runs based on the head, platter, and base. So I've made videos before of this custom oil coolant system I've made. The pump is in the rear back here, controlled on one of the 223 phase legs. The intake for the sump is in the base. The fluid reservoir is part of the base of the machine. The discharge is 1/4 inch NPT came out. I adapted it with some brass fittings, some repurposed PVC air hose. I have a water filter with a coarse grade mesh. I've done tests with this with the previous filter using a coffee filter to check what it's filtering versus what it's not filtering. The way I have this system set up is with a bypass. It comes out of the pump system, can either go through the filter or it goes down my bypass hose, which with a lead fishing weight can discharge near the pit. That pit actually has a 2-stage screen and a cup inside for catching all material. It does take a little bit to discharge through it, but it does eventually capture everything. From the output of the water filter assembly, come up and I have a magnetic attachment with a directional tube, also with valve control here to see what I'm working on. The bypass allows me to run the system to either fill this reservoir or to gauge how much fluid is actually coming out of my coolant discharge line to my cutting head. And then it allows me to have a little bit of a blow-off pressure in case this backs up and I don't want to blow this case apart. I don't know what pressure the pump generates or what flow rate it generates, but I have this set up in case something should occur. What I did find with this setup that is pretty difficult, when I need to change this filter, and this is the second filter I've had on it, there's essentially no way to drain it. There's no drain at the bottom to go into a bucket. There's really not a siphon issue because I could close these valves and open up the air purge in the system to allow it to pull air in so it doesn't generate too much of a vacuum in the container. But there's nothing at the bottom. I think if I redid this, I'd definitely go with a filter with a drain at the bottom, because I tried to do this with a trash can, several trash bags, and it was still a mess. So we're going to turn the system on. Down at the power control, we're going to hit start, which turns on the power for everything. To turn on the cutting head, I have a directional control up here. And then you can see not the spindle control, but the coolant control. I'm going to turn this on. This will turn on the coolant pump. So you can hear it running. I'm going to put it into bypass mode. Oh, never mind. There we go. We're filling up. Once that fills up, I know I have a flow period to get everything through the tube here, and I have this control valve open. So that's about the flow rate. With the container in there, it's, I'd say maybe 2 to 3 gallons a minute. And this is probably spent about 50 years worth of not being filtered, not being changed, all sorts of motor oil and everything else being used for this. Everything just wound up in that sump and has probably never been removed, even though this thing's been moved a couple times. So here we go, we're pressurized. Now what I'm gonna do is open the bypass to dump a little bit so we don't get an overpressurization up here. I know with a new filter, there's probably very little back pressure stopping anything. And you can see there's a little bit dripped out. That's probably from air pressure displacement of what was sitting in the line already. But should be getting some fluid at any point now. See the dump at the bottom's working. Check back here. This has collapsed like this before, but that should allow fluid to flow. I'm going to close off the bypass. Oh, there we go. And we have fluid. So because I don't want to make a mess, I'm going to shut off the oil pump. What I found is that capillary action will keep drawing everything up through the system. Even if the valve is there's no pressure and there's nothing in the system, just it keeps creeping up. So I typically shut off the valve at the filter. That way vacuum will be generated in here by anything coming out, and then the rate's just very slow. I just have to deal with the mess. So that's the custom coolant filter and distribution system on this unit. It works very, very well. It is much more efficient than using a spray bottle, and it's always better than using nothing. So hope this helps everybody who's thinking about doing something on their milling machine or any other cutting application. El Cheapo water filter with 1/4 inch NPT worked surprisingly well with just regular tubing. So hope this works. Let me know if you have a variant of it or if you've done something similar to this somewhere else, and good luck.